from the Swisscast Network.
Welcome back. This is episode 10, the final episode of season 1. And if you've been listening to this season, you know we covered a lot. Delegation frameworks, priority systems, how to track the right metrics, process documentation, meeting rhythms. But here's the thing. Knowing all of this doesn't mean you've actually built it. So today, we're talking about why your business actually needs to work without you and how to get there. Let's implement. I've spent 20 years helping impact founders build businesses at scale without the burnout. Every episode of this podcast is 5 to 8 minutes with just one tool or approach you can use this week. Welcome to This Is Harder Than I Want It to Be. I'm Linda van Egmond. Let's make it easier. Okay, quick thought experiment. Imagine you had to go away for 2 weeks. Family emergency, no warning, no prep time. Would your business survive? And I don't mean technically keep the lights on. I mean actually function. Serve clients, make decisions, move forward. And if the honest answer is no, I'm sorry, but then you have a problem. I had a client last year, super talented founder, impact-driven business, 7 people on the team. She got a call, her mom had a stroke, and she needed to go home immediately. And what happened? Everything in her business slowed down or even stopped. It wasn't because her team was incompetent. They just didn't know what to do without her. They didn't know which decisions they could make and which they couldn't, what success looked like, and how to prioritize when 2 things felt urgent. She came back 3 weeks later to a giant backlog of questions, missed deadlines, and a team that felt horrible. That hit hard because she's not alone. Most founders at the 5 to 10 people stage, they're in the same situation. You've built something real, but it completely depends on you. And if your business can't run without you, it can't grow. And if it can't grow, it definitely can't give you the freedom you started it for. So today we're talking about how to fix that. All right, so what does it actually mean for a business to work without you? It's not about becoming irrelevant, and it's not about checking out or sitting back and relaxing. It's about building foundations. 3 layers of foundations, actually. Layer 1 is documentation. What's in your head has to live somewhere else as well. Your core processes, they need to be written down. Not perfectly, but written. Your decision-making frameworks, what you do in your head, it needs to be documented. So your team knows what they can decide and what they need your input for. The knowledge that makes your business work, it needs to be transferred to a format people can actually access. Because if it lives in your brain, nobody else can access it. And unavailable doesn't just mean vacation. It also means sick days. Or maybe it means focused work time, strategic thinking, or sleep. Every minute you're explaining something you've explained 10 times before, that's time you're not spending on growth. Okay, after documentation, the second layer is people. Your team needs authority, not just tasks. And this is where most founders mess up. They delegate the task, but keep the decision-making power to themselves. So the team does the work, but then they come back to you for every judgment call, which makes you the bottleneck. Real delegation means giving clear roles, decision-making boundaries, accountability for the outcome, and not just completion of a task. And permission, explicit permission, to solve problems without asking you first. Because if your team has to ask you everything, you've built a system where you're required for everything. Step number 3 is the rhythm. Operations need structure that maintains itself. A weekly meeting that keeps priorities aligned, not just a status update, an actual decision-making meeting. And it needs an issues list that surfaces problems early. So you're dealing with yellow lights and not red lights. It also needs metrics that tell the truth about your business health. So you know what's working and what's not. Without rhythm, without weekly meetings, without an issues list, and without metrics, things drift. Priorities get fuzzy and problems hide until they're giant emergencies. With rhythm, the business runs predictably and consistently. Now here's the counterintuitive part. Building all of this doesn't make you less important. It makes you more effective. Because once your business can operate without you managing every detail, you finally get to do the work only you can do. The strategic partnerships, the vision work, the big bets that actually move the business forward, that's the CEO work. And you can't do that CEO work if you're stuck answering Slack messages about who's handling what. So the question isn't, should I build this? The question is, how fast can I build this? And how do you actually build this? Let me give you a 90-day roadmap. 3 months, because this isn't theoretical. This is how you make it real. In the first month, you get out of your head. Start with a brain dump. Sit down for an hour. Write down everything that's currently in your head and that your team really needs to know. The recurring decisions you make, processes you repeat, tribal knowledge, the informal rules that make things work. Just get it all out and then prioritize. What are the 5 things you explain the most often? You document those first. And I don't mean you need to write a novel. I mean create a 1-page checklist, an SOP, or a quick video. Something your team can reference instead of having to ask you. Also, this is when you set up your accountability chart. Who does what? Not with vague job titles, actual roles and responsibilities. Because we all just figure it out doesn't scale past 5 people. Your action items for month 1 are you pick one process, document it this week, and you test it with your team, and you refine it. That's it. One process, fully documented, actually used. Then, in month 2, you build the rhythm. This is when you implement the 30-minute weekly meeting. So go back and listen if you need the structure. But the short version includes metrics, issues, priorities, and nothing else. 5 minutes on metrics, what's working, what's not. About 15 minutes on issues, what problems came up this week and how do we solve them. And then 10 minutes on priorities. What are we focused on for next week? That's the meeting. And you also set up your issues list. One shared document. Anytime something comes up that needs attention, add it to the list. Review it in your weekly meetings and you solve the top 3, and then you move on. This keeps small problems from becoming huge fires. Also in month 2, you establish your 5-number scorecard. We talked about this in episode 4 and 5. You pick 5 metrics that actually matter and you track them weekly. Not 20 metrics, 5. Your action item for month 2, run your first real weekly alignment meetings, track your 5 numbers, and start your issues list. Then, in month number 3, transfer and test. This is when you start delegating using the proper framework. We covered delegation in episode 1. 3 questions before you delegate anything. 1, what does success look like? 2, what can they decide on their own? And 3, how do we check in? Answer those 3 questions clearly and then delegate. Here's a test. Take 3 days completely off. No laptop by the pool off. Actually off. You deserved it. No Slack, no email, no checking in. See what breaks. See what works. Then come back and do a debrief with your team. What went well? What didn't? And what made you feel like you had to stay involved? Fix the one thing that made you indispensable. Maybe it's a decision framework that wasn't clear. Maybe it's a process that wasn't documented. Maybe it's a role that wasn't defined. Whatever it is, fix it. Your action item for month 3, delegate one major responsibility using the 3-question framework. And then you can take 3 days off, all for the sake of your business. And afterwards, you debrief, and fix what's broken. Now, can you build this yourself? Maybe. Should you? That depends on three things. One, do you have the time? This is 10 to 15 hours a week for 3 months. Two, do you have the expertise? Have you built operational systems before? Do you know what good looks like? And three, can you see your own blind spots? This is the hardest one because you're inside your business. You're probably too close. If the answer to any of these is no, get some help. It's fine to get help. That's not a weakness. That's being strategic about where you spend your time. All right. So here's your reflection question for today. If you could only fix one operational problem this quarter, just one, which one would free up the most of your time and energy? That's where you start. Maybe it's documenting your most repeated process. Maybe it's setting up the weekly meeting. Maybe it's clarifying who decides what on your team. Pick one and start there. Because the thing is, these past 9 episodes, they taught you the frameworks, but frameworks don't run businesses. Implemented systems do. And the gap between knowing and doing, that's where most founders get stuck and what separates successful companies from the rest. So if you're listening to this and thinking, yeah, I need to build this, but I have no idea where to start, I got 3 things for you. 1, take my operational assessment. It's free, it's 20 questions, and it tells you which of these systems needs attention first. The link is in the show notes. Number 2, if you want to see what implementation actually looks like, book a free scoping session with me. We'll map out your situation, figure out what's broken, and build a roadmap. No pressure, no sales pitch, just clarity. The link to book that session is in the show notes too. And then number 3, connect with me on LinkedIn. I share operational insights every week. Real stuff, tactical, no fluff. All right, that's it for season 1. Thank you for listening. Seriously. If you found this valuable, share it with another founder who's stuck in the day-to-day chaos of their business. And if you want more of this, let me know. I'm working on season 2 already. Until then, build the systems that actually set you free. See you soon. That's it for this episode. Check the show notes for ways to connect with me because we all know impact founding is much harder than we want it to be. I hope this makes it easier.
This podcast is a production of the Swisscast Network, amplifying English-speaking voices in, for, and about Switzerland. Learn more at swisscast.network.